64% of black children within the US cannot swim compared to only 40% of their white counterparts. Black children are also 6 times more likely to drown in a swimming pool than white children. Hi everyone, my name is Vina, aka Miss WOC Reader, and welcome back to my channel. And this video is inspired by my recent read of Swim Team by Johnnie Christmas. It is a new graphic novel that will be out by the time this video is up. It is being published by Harper Alley, and I definitely recommend checking it out. I think it did a great job really talking about and bring up the issue of why black children in the US don't swim, and I just wanted to talk a little bit more about that. But first I wanted to just talk about myself, because I didn't even know that there was an issue with black kids and swimming until I was an adult. And the reason was that the black people I had around me swam. Like, my family is from the Caribbean, so I have seen my parents swim throughout my life. Like, my dad didn't really like the pool or the beach up here, but when we went to Trinidad, he did swim in the sea there. I had a lot of friends who swam. Like, we constantly went to Atlantic City because my mom always liked the water, so we would go there to swim. Or other parts of the Jersey Shore. We were constantly going to pools. At one point in time, my mom and my aunt had memberships to a local pool that was not far from my house, so we would go a couple of times a week during the summer. And every spring my mom would put me in swimming lessons, sometimes during the summer as well. So I had a pretty decent swimming foundation, and like I said, a lot of the kids in my neighborhood also swam. Most of the time when I didn't see black people swimming, like, they would still be there at the beach or by the pool. Like, they just might not want to get their hair wet, so they were just like laying by the water enjoying themselves. And I'm like, well, not wanting to get your hair wet makes sense, because when you're spending money on your style, you want to make sure it lasts and you get your money's worth. Plus, our hair is so much harder to deal with when it's constantly being wet, and swimming is not the most friendly for it, which is also talked about in Swim Team. So our main character usually rocks like a curly ponytail, but once she starts getting the confidence to swim, she realizes, yeah, that curly ponytail is just not a swim friendly hairstyle, and her new friend helps her find a swim friendly hairstyle. And when we would go to the pool with my little cousin, we'd make sure to slather her hair down in conditioner so that it helped protect against the chemicals in the chlorine, because that's very damaging and very stripping and drying to hair. So I didn't really know that swimming was like a big issue among black Americans until I was about 14. I was visiting family in Newark, New Jersey, and my cousin told me that black people don't swim. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course black people swim. Like, girl, our family is from the Caribbean. People swim there in rivers. People swim there in the ocean. Black people are a swimming people, which is something that Swim Team also does address. Like, it's not that black people never swim, or we have we have zero affinity to the water. We like the water. We swam throughout history. It's just that there are barriers to access that make it difficult for us to swim in some places. And that was something that I think the book did a great job about addressing. So my cousin told me black people couldn't swim, and that's when I realized, you know, she never had the opportunity to do swimming lessons like I did. There were no pools like nearby where they lived in Newark that they could go to. And she didn't really start to learn how to swim until Next summer that we were visiting, and she's like, oh, we went to the Jersey Shore, and you know, I finally learned how to swim, and it was actually like really fun. And that's like when I started to realize, you know, everybody doesn't have the opportunities that you have. So while you had many pools growing up that you had access to, a lot of people don't have the same. And even now, there's only one like city pool in my area, when they used to have multiple ones. So it's hard, like the kids growing up now don't have the same access to the pool because pool memberships are expensive. Everybody cannot afford one, and then often the pools are in white suburbs, specifically by design. That is to keep the non-white people out. So the hospital is probably one of the biggest employers in this area, and they had a partnership with a pool nearby where people could pay like $5 or something for per person for entry. And a lot of people were going to the pool, enjoying the pool, and then, you know, the white people started getting mad because it was just too many brown folk up in their pool and they couldn't enjoy it the way they wanted to enjoy it. So that membership is now null and void, and it's really disheartening because then the price that you have to pay for the day to get in is just sometimes not worth it for some families. So that little discount, the day pass, was really helpful for them. And with so few pools around here, and some of them being farther out too, it's not the most accessible. And white people have constantly tried to keep black people out of their pools. So once they they left the cities, they took their pools with them. Even when they were in the city, they felt black people were dirty, they didn't want us around them, so they would keep us out of their pools, and protests could sometimes turn deadly. Like there are incidents where they threw acid in pools that black people were swimming in and enjoying. And like I said, with them taking out of the city, they didn't want us to have access to pools, and sometimes like they didn't even build anything where they took them out of the city. Some of those places are just like empty lots, so what was the point? And that is something that Swim Team did a great job of addressing as well. So the main character moves from Brooklyn to Florida. She's never swam before. She is terrified of swimming, and the school she's going to now it has its own pool, but they're struggling to keep the pool open because it's not getting a lot of use. And it's very important because it's like the only free pool in the community, and it's a place that people in the community, outside of when it's being used for the school, can come and enjoy swimming. And swimming is really just a great fun activity. It's a great way to stay fit and healthy without being overly strenuous, and swimming builds confidence. And you know, it's something that all kids should definitely have access to. So in Swim Team, they're just fighting for the ability to keep the pool. Our main character wants to just get a good grade in swim class because she was just so afraid. She was skipping for weeks on weeks, which is something that a lot of people did at the local high school, which also had an indoor pool. Like, there was just not enough time for most people to get in the pool and then like dry off and and then be able to go to their next class in a timely manner. And then you got to deal with your hair being wet. I mean, there are swim caps, but back when we were in high school, swim caps really weren't that, like, they were too tight. They didn't fit all your hair, especially if you had natural hair. And now there are some companies who are doing better, black-owned companies specifically, to create caps that will fit black hair. But even then, like when black Olympic swimmers wanted to use those swim caps, the white people in charge put rules in place that they couldn't, which was just unfair. Like, there's always little ways that they try to block us from swimming, And that's why another reason why you don't see a lot of black Olympic swimmers, especially coming from countries like the US and the UK. So let me know if this topic interests you. Make sure you hit that like button if you like the video. Stay subscribed for similar videos like it. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I will check in with you guys soon. Bye!